Chapter 51, Meeting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Scathack House. 2 days later, at a ridiculously large table, several people were seated. And, not far from the table, Luna, Kagaya, and Maria were waiting to take any requests from their respective masters. "Victor, I'm really wondering if it was the right decision for my mom to bring you here," Sienna asked. She was sitting next to Lakis and Pepper. "Oh." Scathack looked at her daughter with curious eyes. Victor, who was sitting on a couch next to Violet, Ruby, and Sasha, looked at Sienna with a disinterested look. "Question," he continued with the same disinterested look, then he added, "Are you the owner of this mansion?" "No," Sienna denied. "Then why are you poking your nose in matters that don't involve you?" Pepper broke out in a cold sweat when she heard what Victor said. Violet and Sasha looked at Sienna with a neutral gaze. "Heh, these past 2 days, all you've done is just play with your wives." She wanted to offend him, but she didn't want to offend his wives, who were her friends. In the end, she didn't know what to say. "I can't sleep because of the noise. I'm doing what your mother asked me to do." Victor flashes a sneer. "I'm relaxing." Sienna frowned. "If you're so upset, why don't you move somewhere else? Or rather, why don't you ask your mother about it and throw me out, crack." Unconsciously, Sienna broke the wood of the table. "Moving to another place? That is impossible, she always wants to be close to her mother." "Question her mother? She would rather die than do something like that, she respects her mother a lot." Ruby sighed. "Can't you get along with her?" She spoke while looking at Victor with the same cold face as always. Victor felt his heart moved. It's been a few days since his and Ruby's relationship progressed, and he understood better his wife, who didn't show many emotions. He wanted to get along with Sienna, but in the end, he couldn't lie to himself. "It's impossible," Victor said. "Impossible," Sienna agreed. "She looks at me like she's looking at a cattle. I don't like that," Victor said. He didn't really care about Sienna, he just wanted to get along with her because of his wife. But, he was never a man who accepts being stepped on by other people. Even before he turned into a vampire, he was a very vindictive man, and he doesn't care if she's Scathack's daughter or Ruby's sister, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and blood for blood. That's how he thought before, and that way of life has only been enhanced by his evolution to a vampire. "But isn't that what you are? A cattle?" She smiled disdainfully, but soon her expression changed to neutral as she felt the air of the 3 women standing next to Victor change. "Bitch, repeat what you said." The air around Violet began to heat up, her face distorted, and she looked at Sienna like she was going to pounce on her neck at any moment. "Big sister." Ruby didn't say much, but from her cold stare and the chilling temperature around her, Sienna could tell she was furious. "Sienna, I suggest you don't say this in our presence," Sasha advised coldly. She was trying not to act too reckless despite being annoyed. Sienna looked at all of this with a little shock. Violet is understandable, she has the same personality as her mother, but Sasha, and Ruby too? How did he get their affection so fast? Sienna thought. "I'll be careful," she backed off. Sienna was very fond of Ruby, and she didn't want to get into conflict with her sister. The interest she had in Victor still remained, but from the moment she learned that Victor was a human in the past, half of her interest was lost. However, she was still curious to know how a commoner had so much power. "Kaka," Scathack laughed as if she found it all funny. She shook her wine glass of blood. "She must be irritated because, since you arrived, she can't sleep." "Yes, I can't sleep either. What in the name of the 7 hells are you doing in that room?" Lakis added. Pepper's face turned red with embarrassment. Victor patted Violet's and Ruby's head, who were beside him. Since that moment in the woods together, Ruby seems to have acquired some of Violet's personality traits. Feeling Victor's caresses, Ruby's face continued with the same cold expression, but the air around her became more peaceful. Violet was more expressive, she just flashed a satisfied smile and ignored Sienna. Relaxing with my wives, he replied to Lakis. Pepper's face turned redder. Then, feeling Victor's gaze on her, she quickly turns away and ignores everything. Can't you make it more silent? I want to sleep. Lakis commented in a low, shy voice. Impossible, I can't control my wives' voices. He chuckled a little. Fuck it. She cursed under her breath. Kaka, don't tease my daughters so much. Scathach laughed, and then she added with a big smile, or do you want to feel my teasing? Mother. Ruby and Sienna spoke at the same time. I'm looking forward to it, he replied with a Scathach-like smile. Suddenly Victor felt 3 fists in his stomach. Oof, he looks at his wives. Oh. Scathach found it all very interesting. Darling. What are you implying? Violet asked with blank eyes. Indeed. Don't flirt with my mom, Ruby spoke in a colder voice than usual. Husband, control yourself. Or do you want to lose your little brother? Sasha threatened. Victor's whole body shivered, then his smile grew disproportionately. Ha ha ha, he started to laugh. The 3 women didn't understand his reaction. Sigh, he really has problems with his head, Sasha said. Suddenly she felt someone kissing her face. She looks to the side and sees Victor smiling. Yes, I have head problems, he nodded in agreement, then he looked at his 3 wives with a gentle smile that looked like it was being lit by the sun itself. I just love my wives too much. Sasha, Ruby, and Violet received critical damage from this unexpected attack, and the damage didn't stop there. The damage swelled and spread AoE and hit Lakis and Pepper. Wawa wawa, Pepper began to shake her head several times to get the indecent thoughts out of her head. Lakis just looked at her sister as if she had lost her mind. Sigh, Lord Victor is becoming a playboy, she commented in a low voice. I've never seen Ruby with that expression. Luna commented. Maria just looked at everything with a neutral gaze. Ruby turns her face to the side, and her sisters could see that her ears were a bit red. Sasha did something similar to Ruby. She was not used to this display of affection in public. Violet simply hugged Victor possessively and started saying, darling. 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 Victor chuckled a little and started stroking Violet. You're good at this, Sienna praised. She realized what he'd done. Victor looked at her, confused. Seeing Victor's genuine expression, Sienna thought, don't tell me he did all this naturally. Seeing that Sienna didn't say anything, Victor lost interest. He looked at Scathach and saw the wine glass in her hand. Blood. His eyes changed to blood red, and unconsciously, he thinks in disgust, rotten blood, and soon he gets up from the couch. His wives didn't understand why he suddenly got up. He walks to Scathach's side. Allow me? Scathach looked curiously at Victor. Seeing his gaze on the cup, she was curious about what he intended to do, so she hands the cup to him. Victor takes the cup and dumps all the liquid on the floor. When he did that, his face had an expression of disgust. Seeing that the cup was empty, he bit his wrist with his sharp teeth, and soon his blood spilled into the cup. Darling! What are you doing? Violet practically screamed. She was going to jump towards Victor, but she was stopped by Ruby and Sasha. What? She looked at Ruby and Sasha. Just watch, Ruby said, and Sasha nodded. Ruby and Sasha expected to see something interesting. After all, they know that when Victor's blood leaves his body, it loses its delicious taste and turns to blood with a disgusting taste. Smelling blood in the air, every vampire in the room was hit with a strong scent, and all of them, without exception, were influenced in some way. That is, Sienna gulped. She could now understand the girl's obsession. The smell of blood was very delicious. That looks good, Lakis muttered. Pepper just looked seriously at Victor's blood. Unconsciously, she started drooling. The aroma is better than before, Kagaya thought with an expressionless face. Ugh, Maria clenches her fist and swallows hard. She somehow tries to hold back her instincts to jump on top of Victor and devour his body. She was the one most affected by the scent of blood. She too was confused. Why didn't I feel this before? She remembers seeing Natalia draw Victor's blood, but she didn't react as strongly as she did now. Seeing that the glass was full, he nods his head satisfied, then he lifts his wrist, and in less than a second, the cut he made has regenerated. Try it, he offered the cup to Scathach. Scathach looked at the goblet filled with blood. Smelling the yummy aroma, she asked, "What do you intend to do with this?" She swallows dry at the end. "I don't know," he replied, smiling. "Huh. I just felt it was the right thing to do." "So what are you going to do?" She hesitated for a few seconds, but soon she reached out and took the cup. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 52, Meeting. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Victor just waited with a smile on his face. He didn't know why he offered his blood to Scathach, but one thing he was sure, something interesting was going to happen. Something inside him said that. Scathach brings the cup to her mouth, and slowly, she drank. The moment Victor's blood touched her tongue, Scathach's eyes glowed pure red, and soon she had turned the cup over. Gulp. Gulp. She drank the blood like she was someone who found water for the first time in her life. She was dying of thirst. Sienna, Pepper, and Lakis didn't believe what they were seeing. Lord Victor made another mistake. Now this madwoman is going to get even crazier, Kagaya sighed as she spoke in a low voice. Oh. Who are you calling crazy, maid? Your owner, of course. Or isn't she crazy? Luna didn't know how to answer that question. After all, she knew it was true. Kagaya looks at Maria, who was slowly looking like someone who would lose control at any moment. Slowly her darkness began to spread and cover Maria's shadow, just in case. How did she manage to drink that bad-tasting blood? Sasha commented, she thought she was going to see something interesting, but she didn't expect that. Explain. Violet didn't understand. She was angry because other people drank Victor's blood. I think his blood is only bad for us. After all, we're used to drinking straight from the fountain. Ruby deduced. So. For someone like Scathach who has never drunk straight from the fountain, his blood is delicious. Sasha looks around and notices the vampire's reactions. The scent of his blood is very effective too, although it doesn't affect us. Maybe it doesn't affect us because we're not thirsty, Ruby said. They had spent 2 whole days feasting on each other's blood. Huh? What is happening? Explain now. Seeing Violet's irritated face, Ruby and Sasha sighed and then began to explain what Natalia had done. As this happened, Victor flashed a small smile as Scathach drank all of his blood. He heard the sounds of chains from somewhere. He looked around and even used his vampire vision, but he couldn't pinpoint where that sound came from. Realizing that Scathach had finished drinking his blood, he stopped looking for the sound of the chain and focused his attention on his mother-in-law. What do you think? He asked. Scathach lowers the cup, drops it to the floor, and hears the sound of glass breaking, but she doesn't care. She starts breathing heavily and erratically. It was like she was intoxicated by something. Her cheeks get red, and she looks at Victor with her eyes glowing blood red. Look how you got dirty. Victor approaches Scathach and uses his hand to wipe the blood from her mouth. Don't drink so fast next time, you might choke. For a few seconds, silence dominated the room. It was as if everyone forgot to breathe. They were just too shocked to see Victor treating Scathach like she was some kind of kid who needs help. Boy. She took a moment to control her breathing, but soon she spoke in a serious tone. You're playing with fire. Don't worry. I'm immune to fire. He continued to smile as he stroked her cheek. Scathach's smile grew, and an obsessive look began to appear on her face. How are you feeling? Victor asked as he backed away. He was feeling 3 stares piercing his back. Seeing Victor walk away, Scathach's eyes lost their intensity and became calmer, and, after a few seconds, her eyes returned to sapphire green. I'm feeling better, and my head isn't hazy like it used to be, but... Her eyes went back to blood red. That's still not enough. Bulmul. Bloodlust, huh? He said. Side effect of losing the husband, she spoke dismissively. Yes, I heard, Victor laughed and continued, apparently, you killed your husband. Oh. Were you scared to hear that? Scared? Pfft. He shrugs nonchalantly, if you killed him, you probably judged him as pointless, or impotent. Heh. How are you so sure about that? It could be something else that led me to kill him as an important reason or something, don't talk like you know me. Victor rolled his eyes, Scathach, please. Don't treat me like a fool. I may have only known you for a little while, but one thing I'm sure of. You're not crazy, well, not totally. He chuckled a little at the end. Scathach continued to look at Victor neutrally. Victor's smile grew, his eyes changed to blood red, and his teeth changed to sharp fangs. You were bored, right? He approached her face. Slowly, Scathach's smile grew. Such a boring man, a man without potential, a man who doesn't train, blah, blah. There are several reasons, but the main one was boredom. He wasn't like you, he didn't want the same goals as you, and from the beginning, you weren't interested in him, you just took him because he had powers that matched your own power. A tool, that's what he was, and, when he fulfilled his purpose, he clenched his fists in front of her, you eliminated him, indeed, you got it right. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at Victor, but one question remained. How did you know my reasons? You speak as if you were present. I just took your past into consideration. He withdrew his hand from her front and pulled back a little. Oh. Countess Scathach Scarlet, a vampire over 2,000 years old, a cold and crazy woman. With just this little bit of information, someone with 2 IQ can deduce a little bit of your personality, the rest was a guess based on my few experiences I had with you. Victor smiled, 2,000 years old, you've experienced a lot of wars, a lot of tragedy, and you probably had a lot of fun in those wars, huh? For such a person, the end justifies the means. Indeed, the reckless woman. Ha ha ha, you are right and wrong, she laughed amusedly. Oh. In the past, I was more cautious, but after I realized that I got so much stronger than the beings in this world, I stopped worrying. The law of the fittest, huh? Understandable, after all, who in this world could challenge Scathach? He spoke, smiling. Indeed, she smiled, then she replied, only one man could fight me, but he's very boring and prefers to rule this mess he calls Nightingale. And, when he's not doing that, he's been sleeping for centuries, he's probably rusty from not training for millennia. Heh. Victor displayed a distorted smile, who is this man who is capable of fighting you? The king, the first original, and the progenitor of all vampires. I see. Victor's smile grew and widened erratically, he was even feeling his heart pounding with emotion. Take that smile off a little, brat. If you can't even fight me, you can forget about trying to fight that man. She advised him. I don't feel like fighting him, Victor lied. He did want to fight that man, but not now, that would just be suicide. Oh. I was just happy that there are people stronger than you, he spoke the truth. Upon learning that there is someone stronger than Scathach, he realized that saying, there is always someone stronger than you, was true. Scathach's face distorted a little, he's not stronger than me. But you're not 100% sure you could beat him fighting, right? He doesn't have the title of progenitor just for decoration. She was speechless for a moment when she heard Victor's words. Ha ha ha, you're right. She laughed casually. Sienna, Lacus, Ruby, and even Pepper were speechless when they saw their proud mother admitting it so casually. They were also feeling jealous to see their mother laughing and talking casually to Victor, she never did that to her daughters. Mother. Sienna spoke. She looked at her daughter, seeing her mother's bored face, Sienna bit her lip a little, why did you call this meeting? Oh. Indeed, what was the reason? She completely forgot. Mother. Sienna sighed and looked at Luna. Seeing Sienna's gaze, Luna yelled, "Yes." Then, she disappeared and soon returns with a letter in her hand and hands it to Sienna. Realizing that his conversation with Scathach had ended, Victor walked towards the sofa, where he was sitting, and sat down among his wives. "Darling. What the fuck are you doing?" Victor was speechless. Talking?" he answered honestly. "To me, it looked like you were flirting with my mother." "Are you crazy?" Ruby spoke in a cold tone of voice. "Treason is not allowed. If you betray me, I will kill you." Sasha warned in a serious tone. "Weren't those my sentences?" Violet looked at Sasha, who completely ignored her. Being honest with herself, Sasha couldn't kill Victor like Violet, she'd just lock him away somewhere so he could be safe. Victor wore a genuinely confused face. Sasha, seeing Victor's confused face, was speechless. Is he doing this unconsciously? She focused on her connection and saw Victor's superficial thoughts. Why are they angry? I was just talking normally. Where in the seven hells is this normal? She practically screamed. The women in the room looked at Sasha. Sorry, her face turned a little red. She looked at Ruby and Violet. Use that. Oh, I forgot about that, Violet said. Oh, Ruby just opened her mouth a little. The two concentrate and look at the superficial thoughts of Victor, who was looking at them. My wives are so cute, I want to do XXXX, XXX. The two women's faces turned pure red, and soon they turned their faces to the side. Victor didn't understand their reaction. Sasha was curious. She focused on the connection she had with Victor and saw his thoughts. Cute. She didn't understand why Violet and Ruby were reacting like that. What are you doing? Pepper asked curiously. She was looking at her sister, who had a red face, and was acting suspiciously. And nothing, Ruby stuttered a little. Fun. Pepper glared at her younger sister. What? Are you practicing dual cultivation here? Lakis and Ruby's faces turned pure red. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 53, What Will You Do? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dual cultivation. Victor, Violet, and Sasha were confused. Somehow Ruby and Lakis sighed in relief when they realized they were the only ones who understood. Pepper. Stop talking nonsense. Ruby spoke. Awawawawa, I'm sorry. But you blushed, and you were acting weird, I thought. Stop. Okay. We understand. Lakis closes Pepper's mouth. Pepper tried to say something, but only strange sounds came out of her mouth. Don't let her say anything. Ruby ordered. I know. Lakis spoke. Enough, Sienna said, trying to bring order to the situation. She looks at her mother. What is it, Sienna? I was having fun, Scathach said. For her, a bored person, watching her daughters play with her son-in-law was something nice. Mother, why did Lady Victoria declare war? Sienna asked in a serious tone. Hearing the familiar name, Sasha reacted, Aunt. What is my aunt doing? Oh, she proposed a game with Clan Horsemen to regain Clan Fulger's lost count title, Scathach replied. What? Sasha was shocked. She never thought that selfish, narcissistic, proud aunt would do something like that. She's pretty sure her aunt isn't doing it to help her clan. The Horseman clan accepted. What were the bet this time? Sienna asked. Horseman clan. I've never heard of this clan, Violet questioned. I want to know too, Victor said. Oh, I'll let you two in on the subject. Ruby started to explain to Violet and Victor who Clan Horseman was. Victoria just wants the title of Vampire Count, and she's staked all her riches. Sienna was speechless. Is she crazy? Her equity is absurd, it's more than $3 trillion counting on illegal and legal businesses, why would she give it up for just one title? Sasha spoke. Pepper and Lakis, realizing that the conversation was becoming boring, decided to close their eyes and go to sleep. They were too lazy to think about it. You don't know why since you're just a member of the clan, but the title of Vampire Count is very important, Sienna said, and Scathach nodded in agreement. What do you mean? Sorry, I can't say. Only the leaders of the clan holding the title of Count can know this information. Sasha frowned, then she looked to Scathach for answers. Don't look at me, brat. She said and continued, this is something that even I can't talk about. TSK, Sasha doesn't like it, she looks at Sienna, and how do you know that? Oh, it's because I took on Count's duties in my mother's place. Is this allowed? If the king approved, then yes, it's allowed. Sienna smiled. Sasha frowned in annoyance when she saw Sienna's smile. For some reason, she didn't like that smile. I see. Victor spoke when he finished listening to Ruby's entire explanation about the clan horsemen. Why didn't my mom tell me about this? This is an important issue. Violet asked herself. You probably left the house and didn't even want to talk to her, right? Ruby spoke. Violet was silent. She knew Ruby was right. Scathach, tell me the situation of Sasha's family, you should know more about it, right? Victor said in an unnaturally serious tone. Oh. What will you do if you know? Scathach smiled. All the women looked at Victor, waiting for his answer. Even Pepper and Lakis, who decided to sleep, were a little interested in Victor's answer. It depends on the situation, Victor started to speak. If Sasha is being owned by someone else because of a stupid bet made by her idiot mother. He looks at Sasha, sorry for the offense to my mother-in-law. It's okay. She's a fucking idiot, everyone knows that. Violet and Ruby were a little surprised to hear Sasha use such inappropriate words. Then? What will you do? Scathach looked more interested than usual. Victor spoke in a definitive tone as if it were an absolute truth. Training, getting stronger, and no matter how long it takes, I will slaughter that entire clan. Nobody touches my wives and gets away with it. Scathach's smile grew, she seemed to like the answer. Victor Sasha smiled. Maybe I'll make my mom lose a bet too. Violet said, she got jealous, slap. Ruby hits Violet on the head. Ouch. Violet holds her head in pain. What are you doing, bitch? Stop talking nonsense. Didn't you realize that when he said wives, he included us too? Oh, Violet opened her mouth. And what are you going to do if Sasha doesn't belong to anyone and her family just lost the Count title? Sienna asked a little curiously. Victor looks at Sienna and replies in a disinterested tone, I won't do anything. Huh. Sienna and Sasha spoke in unison. Sasha is fine, and for me, that's what matters. Now, if she wants to get that stupid title back, I'll support her, and if she wants my help, I'll help her, but other than that, I won't intervene. It's not like since she's lost the title of Count Vampire, she would be poor. Stupid title. Sienna was trying not to strangle this man. You believe in your wives a lot, Scathach said in a neutral tone. Victor looks at Scathach and displays a gentle smile. If I don't believe my wife, who will? I always believed in them, from the beginning. He spoke with absolute confidence in what he was saying. I see, she displayed a small smile on her face. Victor. Sasha suddenly hugged Victor. He didn't understand, but he didn't deny her embrace. Feeling small tears on his shirt, he was a little shaken. What's it? What happened? And nothing, she spoke, sobbing a little. Just let me stay like this for a moment. She didn't know what she was feeling, but hearing Victor's confident words somehow, she remembered talking to Julia. When did I get so emotional? I was not like that. Omo, you can hug me all you want, he chuckled, then he started stroking her head. Unfair, This bitch, Violet suddenly had her mouth covered by Ruby's hands. Read the mood, damn it. Ruby spoke in a low voice. HMHMMH, she tried to say something, but Ruby didn't understand. Satisfied? Now. Explain it to me, Victor said, looking at Scat-Hack. Brat, you must have more. Sienna was going to say something. She was already annoyed to see Victor treating her mother so casually. Victor looked at Sienna as his eyes glowed pure red. Shut up. You are annoying. Sienna felt her body tremble. She tried to say something, but her mouth couldn't move. She couldn't move her body. Yes, I will be quiet, she spoke in a monotone. Good. He nodded with satisfaction. Finally, she was silent. He thought. Oh. Scat-Hack looked at it curiously. She remembers seeing it in the past. Kaguya also remembered a similar situation that happened to her. That again, doesn't he realize what he just did? She thought when she saw Sienna's reaction. Violet's violet eyes sparkled a little when she saw Sienna's reaction. She remembers that something happened in the past with the two budding hunters. Big sister. Why are you standing like a robot? Pepper asked curiously. She pinched Sienna's cheek, but the older sister wasn't moving. Lakis, who saw everything that happened, just looked on with eyes shining with curiosity. Scat-Hack looks at Victor and says, Sasha's situation is exactly the second situation. She totally ignored her daughter's condition. Oh. The Horseman clan requested a game with Sasha's mother, and the bet was the title of Count Vampire. She explained and then added, the Horseman clan was betting on something very unique. Something that even a vampire who's lived over 1900 years, and is bored as fuck, would be curious enough to bet the Count title for. She puts on a face of disgust. They were betting a hybrid. The whole room was silent the moment they heard what she said. Lucy's underground base. It's a success. Lucy smiled satisfied. He was looking at an open white coffin with the symbol of the Black Cross, and on the floor were several red magic symbols. The symbols seemed to have been made with blood. Yes, all we have to do now is fill the coffin with the blood of the innocents and noble vampires. If everything goes as we planned, we will become noble vampires. Indeed, Lucy nods with satisfaction, spending almost his entire fortune to hire a corrupt, which seems to have been worth it. What did you do with the sacred artifact? That one spear seemed to be quite strong, Karen asked. I threw it in the trash, Lucy replied. Karen was speechless. She even thought she had gone deaf for a few seconds. What did you do with the sacred artifact? She decided to ask again. I threw it in the trash, Lucy replied. Lucy looked at Karen, and when he saw her expression of disbelief, he explained, the only ones who can use these artifacts are the hunters. If I sell them to the witches, those whores will sell information from me to the hunters, so the artifact was useless, and I threw it in the trash. Couldn't you keep the artifact or something? Keep? Where? He asked. Karen couldn't answer. And I'm also not a fool who would keep a deadly weapon that I can't even use in my house. Lucy snorted. Because of that, I threw it in the trash. Makes sense. Karen didn't find arguments to refute Lucy's decision, and the spear had an ancient look. In fact, the item didn't even have the appearance of a weapon. It looked like white wood in the shape of a spear. Where did you throw the spear? In Violet's territory. Somehow Karen had a bad feeling about this. Couldn't you throw it somewhere else? At sea or something? The hunters would retrieve the spear if I did that. They somehow managed to track that object, you remember, right? Every time we would go somewhere, there were hunters waiting like they knew where we were going. Yes, if it weren't for that corrupt witch, we'd be lost. See? As the witch's spell ran out, I threw the spear into Violet's territory. If the hunters find the spear, they will automatically link the incident to Clan Snow. Karen started to think, and after a few seconds, she said. I think you made a stupid decision. Huh? Did you forget they know you stole the artifact? Heh. Lucy opened his eyes, then he said, of course I didn't forget. But they don't know who I was working for. Is your brain melting? Hunters aren't dumb, they can hate vampires and blame all the shit they do to us, but that's just dumb. First, you stole the artifact, and they know that, everyone knows that. Second, that princess of Clan Snow has already met the hunters, and they must know she doesn't have the artifact. Third, did you see the Vatican incident? That was probably retaliation from that crazy bitch. Some stupid hunter must have hurt her daughter. The hunters must know that the 3 noble clans that were in that incident are not involved in this theft. Come on, what would a Count Vampire who is over 1,500 years old want with an artifact like that? They are basically useless to them after all, like you said, only hunters can use that weapon. Realizing the important points she made, Lucy said, a Karen with a brain, this is new. Ha! Karen's face distorted into anger. Okay, Lucy backed off, I'm going to retrieve the spear, and I'm going to throw it further away, okay? He said. He would never admit that he didn't think deeply about it. Lucy was so excited about his plan working that he totally forgot about that detail. Throw the artifact as far away as possible, preferably under the sea or something, Karen suggested, and adds with a serious look, don't fuck with us now. We're almost close to completing what we've wanted for so many centuries. Okay. Lucy picks up the phone and dials a number, then he puts it in his ear. Johnny. I have a job for you. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me so that I can pay artists to illustrate the characters in my novel, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/Victor Weissman. More characters images in, https://discord.gg/4fetzaf. Like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 54, Hybrids. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hybrids? Victor asked in curiosity. Hearing that word, he remembered the movies he watched with his father. It was about a female vampire who wore a black tights outfit and had a hybrid boyfriend. He remembers that hybrids in fiction are often portrayed as the best of both races, and they are very strong. Sienna, Violet, Sasha, and Ruby's faces practically changed to disgust when they heard the word. Lakis and Pepper don't seem to care much. Yes. Disgusting creatures that are the result of crossing a noble vampire and a werewolf. Victor looked around and saw the reaction that this word caused his wives. His curiosity increased. Are hybrids strong? That was his first curiosity. Hybrids, strong. Pfft. Sienna started to laugh. She looked like she managed to regain control of her body. Sienna wanted to irritate Victor as a form of revenge for what happened, but when she felt the gaze of Scat-Hack, Ruby, Violet, and Sasha, she closed her mouth. She only cared about her mother and Ruby. Why is my mom on his side now? She thought. Victor looked at Sienna with annoyed eyes. That bitch hadn't shut up. Darling, unlike movies, hybrids aren't strong. They're like an error in the genetic code. They're something like a donkey. Oh. Victor looked at Ruby. Ruby continued, werewolves and vampires are 2 very different species genetically, and physiologically from each other. To put it in simple words, we are the opposite of each other. Because of that quirk, we can't mix. And, when we get mixed up, an extremely rare case can happen, a hybrid can be born. Violet spoke in disgust, just imagining that a vampire slept with a wolf. Her body shuddered in disgust, she even felt like throwing up. As we are very different species from each other, the hybrid will be born with various genetic problems. Sasha continued, they will be sterile, and they will have a short life expectancy. Sometimes they are born with unusual diseases that can affect the 2 species. Because of that, when a hybrid is identified, it is immediately hunted and eliminated by the 2 races. I see. Victor placed a hand on his chin. I wonder what the Horseman clan was thinking about protecting a hybrid. Don't they know they can cause a pandemic at any time? What are the royal guards doing? Those old eunuchs wouldn't allow that kind of monstrosity to run around. Violet was surprisingly more involved in the conversation. They're quiet, surprisingly quiet. Sienna spoke. Those old people who keep talking about how the past was 1,000 flowers. Ruby asked, then she frowned, do the king's guards have some sort of agreement with that clan? That's not possible, the royal guards are just a kind of police to keep everything in order. They only follow the orders of the royal family. Sasha spoke, then she opened her eyes. Oh, looks like you understand. Scathach exhibited a small smile. Someone from the royal family is supporting that clan. Sasha spoke with disgust. She started to think of the princes and princesses of the king, but only one came to mind when she thought of this kind of dirty scheme. The first prince? She said. Probably. I'm not sure yet, but that's something he would do. He doesn't hide his intentions of desire about the throne much. Scathach spoke in disinterest. She doesn't like political schemes, she prefers to solve everything by force, though she knows that not everything can be resolved that way, especially delicate situations involving the royal family, as she knows she doesn't have the patience for this kind of political bullshit. She avoids getting too involved in politics. After all, she knows that at some point, she's going to get angry, and she's going to end up destroying another clan of noble vampires. I don't understand something, Victor spoke doubtfully. Scathach looked at Victor. Are hybrids so rare that they might attract my mother-in-law's curiosity? Lakis and Pepper were somehow surprised that Victor could speak the word mother-in-law so easily. It was as if he hadn't even insulted the woman a few moments ago. Yes. They are very rare, and there are a lot of stories about hybrids. Most of those stories are as bad as you've just heard, but some of those stories have been twisted to think that hybrid blood is something delicious. Scathach nearly threw up. You seem to have your own experience about it, Victor commented. In the past, I found a hybrid and drank its blood. That was one of the things I regret the most in this life. I felt like I was eating garbage. It's disgusting. Lakis, Ruby, and Pepper didn't know how to react to this new information, but one thing was going through the sisters' minds: why did their mother always reveal pieces of her past so easily when Victor asked something? When her own daughters ask a question, she always avoids answering something. My mom was basically fooled by the hybrid stories. And, because she was bored, she didn't think twice about betting the Vampire Count title, and in the end, she lost. Sasha got angry, and she started to speak. That dumb blonde. The dumb blonde stereotype must have been invented by her. Victor didn't know how to react to Sasha's words. In the end, he just patted her head. Seeing that Sasha started to become visibly calmer, he said. So my mother-in-law was tricked. What a surprise. He rolled his eyes, then he felt a foreboding. Why am I feeling this is going to become common in the future? Everyone feels that when they hear about that woman. Sasha rolled her eyes. Victor was silent again. If Mom got the invitation, then was our clan invited to see the game? Ruby decided to ask something she was curious about. Indeed. I wasn't planning on going at first, but the situation has changed. She looked at Victor with a small smile on her face. Feeling her stare, he looked at Scathach confused. Seeing their mother's look, the sisters just visibly sighed. They could clearly understand that she accepted the invitation just for Victor to see how the game works. Their mother's interest in Victor is reaching the point of no return. She's even changing her habits just to give Victor more experience in the vampire world. When will the game take place? Sasha asked. In 6 months, Sienna replied in Scathach's place. Why so long? Probably because Clan Horseman wants to prepare. Sienna takes the card that was on the table and throws it towards Sasha. Before Sasha can take the card, Violet puts her hand in front of her and takes the card. Sasha looked at Violet with neutral eyes. Humph. Violet snorted, then she opened the letter. Blah, blah, political bullshit, blah, blah. She started to read. Everyone rolled their eyes, except Victor, who smiled kindly and patted Violet's head. He. Violet displayed a satisfied smile. Oh. Are all clans with the title count invited? That bitch is confident of winning, huh? Well, it's my aunt. Unlike my mom, she never lost a bet, because of that, she built a big noble clan practically in less than 500 years, Sasha said. Question. Pepper held up her hand, feeling the stares of everyone in the room. Pepper asked cutely, what are we going to do about Victor's powers? Ruby opened her eyes a little, oh. You're right, sister. If they find out he's a vampire who has the 3 powers of the Count houses, trouble could ensue. So, are we going to seal his powers? Lakis suggested. Hell no. If it's problems they want they will have them, I won't limit myself or hide my powers just because I'm afraid of problems. Hell no. If it's trouble they want, they're very welcome to look for trouble. Victor and Scathach spoke in unison as the two wore a predatory smile. Everyone was speechless when they heard their words. They spoke differently, but the essence was the same. Do they want trouble? Then problems they will have. They even looked excited. Scathach and Victor looked at each other. Scathach was visibly a little shocked by what she just heard, but soon her smile just grew and grew. Oh fuck. Ruby, Sienna, and Lakis realized it was too late to make Scathach lose interest in Victor. Violet hugged Victor and looked at Scathach with possessive eyes. What are you smiling at, old hag? Shoo, shoo, he's mine. Heh, brat. You're looking forward to my punishment, huh? Scathach displayed her fist. Humph, he's mine. Go find another man. Violet didn't flinch, she hugged Victor tighter. Scathach's blood-red eyes increased in intensity for a few seconds but stopped as soon as Victor said something. Ha ha, my wife is so adorable. He pulled Violet and hugged her, then he started stroking her head. Stop, I'm serious. Violet spoke in a serious tone, and Victor's smile only widened. Bomo, I know. He kissed her cheek. Violet's face turned a little red, but she didn't deny Victor's advances. I've decided something, Scathach suddenly spoke up. Everyone looked at the red-haired woman, then she flashes a small smile at the others. I will start training Victor from today. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/Victor Weissman. More characters images in, /4fetzaf, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 55, Digging Your Own Grave. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I will start training Victor from today. Suddenly Scathach disappears and appears in front of Victor. Not that again. Victor instinctively jumped back. You're still too slow to avoid me. Scathach appeared behind him and lightly attacked his neck, but a small block of ice stopped her hand on Victor's neck. Victor covers his body in lightning and kicks Scathach towards her face. Every time he made these moves, he had a big smile on his face. Oh. You have good instincts, I like it. She grabs Victor's leg. The lightning striking the ground was heard all around, and even the pressure of the wind made a hole in the wall behind Scathach. It just shows how much force Victor put in his attack. But it's still not enough. She decided to put on more strength. She squeezed Victor's foot tighter and pulled towards her. Crack. Victor grits his teeth and tries not to react to his foot being broken by Scathach's grip. He placed an ice shield on his stomach, but this time, Scathach easily passed through the ice as he felt the punch connect with his stomach. Cough. Realizing he was losing consciousness, he quickly bit down on his tongue. As soon as he felt his consciousness return, he quickly kicked the ground and backed away from Scathach. Ha ha ha, Scathach started laughing when he saw Victor's reaction. She seemed to be enjoying herself. She lets go of Victor's leg and allows him to step away. Darling. Husband. Victor raises his hands to his wives in a stop gesture, and he looks at Scathach with a big bloody grin on his face. You don't have to do this to try to get me to go with you. I'll gladly follow you. I told you, right? I won't run away from you. Scathach's body visibly trembled, her cheeks turned a little red, and her smile grew. Good, good. That's the spirit I want. Follow me. As soon as she disappeared, Victor used his eyes and continued to keep his senses focused on Scathach, and he said without turning around, I'll train. Lakis, Sienna, and Ruby are just speechless. As Scat Hack alumni, they know it's not easy to do what Victor has done now. He suddenly turned to Sasha. Don't do anything reckless, okay? I won't, don't worry, husband, Sasha said with a small smile. You too, Violet. Huh. But I never do anything reckless. Violet felt a little sad to be parted from Victor. Everyone in the room rolled their eyes. Victor walked up to Ruby, and he patted her head. Take care of them, okay? I trust you. Victor displays a gentle smile, then he disappears. The three wives clenched their fists tightly. Fue. Where is Kaguya? Pepper asked as she looked around. She was sure Kaguya was beside Maria, but suddenly Kaguya disappeared, and as a maid wouldn't leave without the master's permission, she thought it was weird. The three wives were speechless, but soon they exhibited a small smile. As expected of her, they spoke in unison. Huh? What do you mean? Pepper asked. Nothing, the three spoke in unison. A moment of silence descends into the room, then Violet opens her mouth. I'll go back home. Heh. Ruby and Sasha were surprised. What's it? Violet was upset. Nothing, it's just a surprise you want to part with Victor, Ruby commented. Indeed. I thought you were going to scream in rage or something, Sasha added. Believe me, I don't want to part with him. And I'm really angry too. Violet's eyes went completely dark, but as long as that old witch is with Victor, I probably can't find him. Somehow, I'm jealous of Kaguya now. She can be with Darling all the time as if she were his shadow. Ruby and Sasha nodded in agreement with Violet's words. I'm going back home, and I'm going to train. I feel my power steadily increasing, and I don't have the confidence to control it like before. Sienna, Lakis, and Pepper were a little surprised when they heard what Violet said. They know that for vampires to get stronger, they have to get older or train to learn new techniques and incorporate them into their fighting style. However, Violet just said that her power was steadily growing. That's theoretically impossible for vampires. Violet's powers shouldn't have a power-boosting spurt until she's 500 years old. Oh, now that you mention it, I felt it in me too, but I ignored it because I can control it perfectly, Ruby said. Sasha looks at Ruby with a neutral expression. That's because you're a small monster trained by an even bigger monster. Ruby was a little annoyed. How rude to call me a monster. But that's what you are. You've been trained by Scat Hack since you were little. You're a little monster. Sasha smiled. Ruby turns to face Violet and ignores Sasha. How are you going to get home? We are in the north, you know. It's a long trip to the southern territory, which is where you live. I will run with the power of my fire. I can boost myself to get back faster, Violet spoke. This is stupid. That is just a waste of energy. Ruby said, why don't you use an airplane or something? It's easier. It's too slow. Ruby couldn't deny it's slow, but it's better than wasting energy. Why don't you call that maid? Speaking of the devil, where is she? Sasha looked around but couldn't find Natalia. She said she's on vacation until Violet goes back to the human world, Luna said. Explain. Ruby looked at Violet. That maid's contract is only for life in the human world, that's all I can say, Violet spoke neutrally. Sigh, what is your family thinking of getting involved with that clan? Ruby sighed. Although my mother is a narcissistic bitch, she still has a good head on her shoulders. She got a deal with the king to employ someone from that clan as a maid. Why did she risk so much? Sasha asked. She wanted to shop in the human world easier. Sasha looked at Violet sympathetically. She put her hand on her shoulder. It's hard to have a mother like that, right? Yes, Violet sighed. Ruby didn't say anything. Despite Scat Hack being the way she is, she was still a good mother, at the limit of the possible, of course. She was strict, kind, and never let her crazy things affect her daughters. She was also very overprotective of her daughters, and she was always there when her daughters needed her. Overall, Ruby had nothing to complain about her mom. She just had trouble getting close to her mom. She always seemed so far away. Because of that, she feels a little envious of Victor, who managed to bond with Scathach very easily, and that's a thought that is shared by all three of Ruby's sisters. What are you two going to do? Sienna asked Ruby and Sasha, and then she got up from the table along with Lakis and Pepper. I'll train too, although I don't think I need it. It's always good to go over the basics, Ruby said. Me too, unlike these two freaks, I'm not a genius, Sasha said. Ruby and Violet rolled their eyes, train and use the Count Vampire transformation even for a little while. If that's not being a genius, I wonder what is Ruby thought. Not even Ruby could access the Count Vampire form yet, and Sasha and Violet could already do that. Although different from the two women, Ruby had two elements that were essentially the same element. Ruby's ice and water were much more challenging to train than Sasha's lightning bolt and Violet's fire. And you too? Sienna asked Pepper and Lakis. I'm going to watch anime. I saw that a new season was out. Pepper chuckled silly. Ruby reacted to Pepper's words. Tell me a little more about this, she said. Of course. Sienna sighed and looked at her middle sister. I'll go to sleep, she smiled, then she disappeared. Well, I'll go back to my job. I predict my mom will be confined for 6 months with that man. Sienna smirked, then she spoke in a shocked voice, wait, this isn't a bad thing for you guys. After all, you saw what happened, right? I wonder what will happen if my mom is alone with that one for 6 months. The eyes of the three wives began to glow, and a suffocating pressure began to leave their bodies. Hi. Pepper, who was close to Ruby, quickly fled and got behind her older sister. Forget what I said, I'll get my darling. Violet quickly changed her mind. Indeed, Ruby said in a cold tone. It's dangerous to leave that woman alone with Victor. The three look at each other and then nod to themselves, then they disappear, leaving traces of their respective powers. Ha ha ha, Sienna laughed, she finally got a little revenge. She was also very petty like Victor. Big sister, Pepper whispered. She looked at Pepper. Our mom isn't going to like this, and if she finds out it was you who came up with the idea. Well. Pepper couldn't finish the sentence, she just looked sad. Oh fuck, Sienna's face darkened, she felt that every time she tried to provoke Victor, she was digging her own grave. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, currently up to 60, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/victorweissman. More characters images in, /4fetzf, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 56, I can't contain myself anymore. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside a coliseum, Victor and Scathach were in the center of the arena looking at each other. At some point, as Victor ran after Scathach, the red-haired woman disappeared in front of him and came back wearing a tight-fitting outfit that clung perfectly to her body. The outfit was black with golden and red details. At first glance, it looked like a tight full-length bodysuit, but looking closer, he realized it was something like a battle suit. To be honest with himself, Victor was having a hard time looking at Scathach. That voluptuous body was just too unfair. And, since she looked like a more mature version of Ruby, who was his wife, the temptation was much greater, but despite being feeling it, he kept a poker face with a slight smile on his face. He didn't want to be rude. His mother always said not to stare at women's bodies too much. After all, they felt the eyes of men. He still remembers her words, look once, observe, appreciate, and commit the image to memory. Don't be staring at the woman like a weirdo. Scathach flashes a small smile when she sees Victor's gaze, and her smile grows even wider when he keeps a poker face and doesn't stare at her body like a dog in heat. She nods contentedly, like a woman who considers herself old-fashioned. She quite appreciated Victor's attitude. First of all, we should start training your resistance to pain. A small ice stake appears in front of Scathach. Don't dodge. You can take it easily, right? She said. Soon she throws the stake into Victor's heart. Realizing the stake will pierce his heart, Victor grits his teeth and doesn't move. Soon the ice stake pierced his heart, and he felt pain throughout his body. He felt like screaming, but he gritted his teeth harder and resisted. Good, Scat-Hack complimented. As expected, you didn't disappoint me. Victor takes the ice stake that pierced his heart and pulls the stake out. His body was shaking, and it was visible that he was hurting, but he didn't scream. Something inside him wouldn't allow it. He'd rather die than demonstrate a pathetic action like screaming and acting like a little girl. Victor throws the stake into the ground. Scat-Hack nodded in satisfaction once more as she began to explain. The vampire is a physically weak breed compared to werewolves, but in compensation, we have regeneration that is far superior to that of wolves, and, in combat, we get hurt a lot. Because of that, we must train resistance to pain. As she was satisfied with Victor's previous action, she demonstrated with actions what she meant. Scat-Hack shows her right hand, then her hand hardens and becomes sharp. She extends her left arm and suddenly cuts it. Blood fell to the ground, and yet the smile never left Scat-Hack's face, and she never stopped looking at Victor. Her arm fell to the ground, and in less than a few seconds, her arm disappeared and then reappeared attached to her body. In less than 1 second her arm has completely regenerated. Victor was surprised by this demonstration. He touched his heart, and at some point, he could feel that his heart had already healed. See? In time you will be able to do this. Pain resistance, that's what we're going to train first. And this skill is the most important for our fighting style. She finished the explanation, and ordered. Now, take off your clothes and just leave your underwear on. Okay, Victor spoke in a neutral tone as he began to undress. Oh. Aren't you going to ask why we shouldn't train with weapons, or powers, etc.? She spoke of the complaints her students always made. He stops undressing and looks at her. He replied in a neutral tone, you are the master here, I just have to follow what you order me to do. She didn't expect this answer. And he smiled a little, I trust you, I know you won't make me do something useless. After all, just like me, you want me to get stronger quickly, right? When he finished speaking, he started to undress again. Scat-Hack's smile slowly grew distorted, her eyes were glowing blood red, and her teeth changed and sharpened, and an immense pressure of murderous intent left her body. The birds around the Colosseum started to flee in fear. They feared for their life. They could feel that a predator had arrived, and this feeling was felt by all the animals that were around. Victor's shadow began to shake violently, and soon the shadow seemed to leave his body and fled out of the Colosseum. Ah, as expected, I can't contain myself anymore. She put both hands on her face, her cheeks turned red, and her breathing became ragged. She loved the answer he gave her. I don't want anyone in the way. Her killing intent grew bigger and formed a dome around the Colosseum. For 6 months, I will cut this diamond any way I want. Somehow she felt her private parts a little wet. What is this? Violet fell to the ground while breathing quickly. She was very terrified. This is Mother. Ruby was leaning against the tree as she stared at the Colosseum that had turned into a dome of murderous intent. What happened? Is she angry? Sasha asked as she held her trembling arms. Let's step back a bit. Why yeah, Sasha nods and then leaves the Colosseum area. Seeing that Violet was unable to move, she seemed more affected since she was closer to the Colosseum when the explosion of murderous intent took place. Sasha, Ruby said. Sasha turns and looks at Violet. She bites her lip, resists her fear, and covers her body in lightning. Then she appears beside Violet. Let's go. Why yes, Violet didn't refuse. She was too numb. She had never felt this feeling before in her life. Was I teasing this monster all along? Only now did she understand why Scat-Hack was called the strongest female vampire in the world. At a considerable distance from the Colosseum, the 3 wives were on top of a mountain. What in the 7 hells is this? Sasha asked. She was looking at a black dome. She could feel all the negative feelings in that dome. Instinctively, she knew that if she approached that place, she would be killed. That's my mother's killing intent, Ruby commented in disbelief. She had seen her mother's killing intent before, but it was nothing like what she saw now. Just how many beings has she killed? Sasha can't help but ask, just how many? How many lives do you have to take to have such frightening pressure? I don't know, but she participated in all the wars she found interesting. With just those wars, you can imagine the huge number of beings she killed. Ruby added. Suddenly Violet's shadow begins to tremble, and then Kaguya emerges from it coughing. Kaguya. The three women spoke. What happened? Violet asked. I got kicked out, I couldn't stand it. I felt like I would die if I stayed in that place. I'm sorry, Lady Violet. And darling. What happened to him? Violet started to shake Kaguya, who was trying to recover. Calm down, Violet, Sasha spoke. She took Violet's hands. Violet glared at Sasha. My mom won't kill Victor. Remember, she took him to that place to train, she probably doesn't want to be interrupted. Ruby added. Violet sighs, and she says, I'm sorry, Kaguya, can you tell us what happened to make Scathach act like that? Ruby and Sasha were a little surprised that Violet could listen to them so easily. Kaguya nods, and soon she starts to explain, some minutes later. So it's Darling's fault. Violet didn't know how to react. I don't think so, Ruby said. She was the one who understood a little more about Scathach. All her students always complained about her training, even I was like that. But Victor is different, and he seemed to be willing to accept whatever my mother threw at him. That must have been the trigger that made her act that way. Ruby finished the explanation. She was always obsessed with being stronger and training. And my husband is a lot like her. Sasha spoke. Violet bites her lip, just thinking that Victor is going to be stuck with Scathach for 6 months, her body trembles with jealousy and rage. Don't think about it, Ruby warned her. Huh? Violet didn't understand. I can read your superficial thoughts, have you forgotten? But I don't even need to read your thoughts to understand what's going through your head right now. So again, I repeat, don't think about it, or jealousy will consume you. My mom isn't interested in relationships, she's just excited that she's found a potential disciple for her to train any way she wants. Violet bites her lip. Are you 100% sure she's not interested in a relationship? Sasha asked. Ruby was silent. Realizing that Ruby didn't respond, the two women became more concerned. Honestly, Ruby didn't know. Her mom never talked about it, and she never saw her mom get in touch with anyone either. One time 14-year-old Ruby asked her mother that had received a marriage proposal from a clan. Mother, why don't you get married and hook up with someone? She asked her mother, who was on top of the wreckage of the clan, that the man who sent her the marriage proposal was from. Scathach exhibited a face of disgust. I'm not interested in trash, these men are just unworthy of my attention. They're just pigs to be slaughtered by me. The vampire's entire body is covered in ice until it becomes a statue. Ruby looked at it with cold eyes and asked, so which man is worthy of you? I do not know. Ruby was speechless. Scathach looked at her daughter and showed a small smile, but I'll know when I meet this man in person, my instincts are always correct. Then I'll wait patiently for the day I have a father, Ruby said coldly, but her mother could see the sarcastic tone in her daughter's words. Kakakakaka, that day will probably never come. My standards are too high and almost impossible to meet, she laughed, then she jumped towards the street and started walking towards her mansion. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, currently up to 63, visit my Patreon. Patreon.com/Victor Weissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it. Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 57, so it begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After finishing removing all of his clothes and leaving only a pair of boxers, Victor looked at Scathach. He didn't seem to have noticed the killing intent that was coming out of Scathach. I finished, what now? Honestly, he was wondering why he should just wear his underwear, but that thought died the moment it was born. After all, he wasn't ashamed of his current body. Scathach puts her hand on her chin as if thinking about something. She looks at Victor's body in curiosity. Then, she approaches Victor and touches her fingers to his body, seeing the firm, well-defined muscles. Her eyes gleam a little, she seems to have come to some conclusion. Interesting, looks like you'll take whatever I throw at you. Suddenly, she reaches into her pocket and pulls out a small, old-fashioned cell phone. Well, Victor was going to say something, but he suddenly felt his body being pierced. Cough, he spits blood on the floor. He looks down and sees Skathaka's hands across his stomach. Hold on, she spoke in a neutral tone, and then she started to churn Victor's stomach like she was looking for something. Victor gritted his teeth, his body trembled in pain, but he just clenched his fists tightly and held on. Skathak removed her hand from his stomach, and the moment she did, he felt something pulled out of his stomach. Cough, he almost fell to his knees on the floor, but the moment that sensation came, he quickly stomped harder on the floor and stood up, his pride not allowing him to kneel. Your gut, she flashed an innocent smile. Victor was speechless. A few seconds later, something started to happen. Victor's intestines that were in Skathaka's hand dissolved into blood and then disappeared, and at the same moment that happened, Victor felt something return to his stomach. He touches his belly region, he doesn't feel pain anymore, and the cut on his stomach has also been restored. Even the blood he spat has disappeared. Impressive, she smiled contentedly as she looked at her cell phone. In less than 10 seconds, you had your whole stomach restored. Is this normal? Victor asked in curiosity. Of course it isn't. She put away her cell phone and began to explain. For an ordinary noble vampire, it takes between 30 seconds to 1 minute to regenerate this type of damage. For a noble vampire descended from a Count clan, it takes around 30 to 40 seconds depending on the individual's potential. This kind of regeneration is only seen in the children of the royal family. For example, the youngest daughter of the king, she is a newborn, and her regeneration is around 10 to 15 seconds. You seem to know a lot about this. Of course I know. All the king's children that are born, I went to check whether they had potential or not personally. By potential, she probably meant beat up every one of them, huh? Victor thought. They all have good talent, but unfortunately, they are useless. The mentalities of them are not like me. Because of that, though they have great talent, I never took any of them to train personally, she said with annoyance. Victor didn't know how to react to this. After all, he never saw the king's heirs personally, and if Skathak judged them as unworthy, he simply lost interest in them. He considers Skathak too much like him, and, because of that, he strangely trusts her judgment a lot. Skathak exhibited a small smile. You are indeed an anomaly. Your blood has made you special, it has strengthened all your bases, even your body is stronger than a common vampire noble. Victor exhibited a small smile. If I'm an anomaly, what are you? In less than 1 second, your whole arm was restored. He compared himself a lot to Skathak, which was absurd. She is a vampire who had 2,000 years to train, and he was just born. Follow me. Skathak started walking towards the Colosseum wall. Victor followed Skathak. As he was behind her, unconsciously he looked at her ass that looked like she was trying to hypnotize him. Thick ass. This outfit is against the rules. Not that I'm complaining, but it's weird looking at your wife's mother like that. I think, that he stared for only a few seconds, and then he looked away. He noticed how beautiful the Colosseum was. Which was a lie. He was reviewing what he saw in his mind and comparing it to Ruby. Skathak wins, although Ruby isn't far behind. Like mother, like daughter, huh, dot. Although, Sasha's legs are better. Apparently, he had plenty of free time to think about bullshit, and Skathak noticed it too when she felt Victor's gaze on her ass, but she didn't care. She was feeling satisfied for some reason. Stopping at the Colosseum wall, Skathak lightly touches the wall, and soon a new wall with various training weapons appears. Choose a weapon you like. She pointed like a saleswoman who was selling an item. Don't worry, all weapons are tough enough, they've been enchanted by witches. Victor looked at the weapons curiously. He saw that she had several weapons of all varied types, Eastern, Western, and even firearms. Victor didn't think too much. He wasn't experienced in using any weapons, so he just chose what he liked personally. He liked the spear and greatsword, but in the end, he chose greatsword. After all, he still has memories of watching a movie with his father about a barbarian who used a greatsword, and, since that day, he has always been fascinated by the greatsword. He looked at the sharp blade of the sword with curious eyes. The greatsword was simply too big. He was currently 195 centimeters tall, and the sword blade was almost the same size as himself. Great sword, as expected of a man, I think. She laughed. I was in doubt about the spear and the great sword, but I just chose the one I liked best. He spoke while swinging the great sword with extreme ease. He even felt like the sword was made of paper, it was so light. Skathaka's eyes sparkled a little when she heard that he liked the spear. Despite being a master of all weapons and having completely mastered them, the weapon she first practiced with was the spear. Since we have little time, your torture/training method is simple, a fight to a near-death state. She wasn't even hiding anymore that it would be torture for him, although Victor doesn't seem to mind. Victor looked at Skathak, his smile growing disproportionately when he heard what she said. As vampires, we're going to abuse regeneration, huh? Oh. You got it fast, she smiled and explained. Usually, I would start by taking it easy. I would teach you the basics step by step, and I would apply a little torture to get you used to the pain, just like I did with my daughter. But. She walks to the wall and picks up a spear. She makes some moves with the spear and points the sharp part of the spear at Victor. You woke me up, and now. I want to have fun. Her smile grew distorted, sharp teeth began to show on her face, and her eyes began to glow blood red, just like Skathak. Victor's smile grew. Then. What are we waiting for? Let's start. He swings the greatsword horizontally and attacks Skathak. Skathak uses the spear hilt and defended Victor's attack. The swing of the greatsword created a gust of wind, but despite all that strength, the spear didn't even move when receiving the attack. She then used the tip of the spear and pierced Victor's stomach. A small ice shield appears on Victor's stomach but is easily pierced by Skathaka's spear. Victor attacks again with the greatsword, but Skathak pulls the spear out of Victor's stomach and slashes his legs at inhuman speed. Ugh. Lots of useless moves, try to simplify more. The way you use the power is correct, but she waits for Victor's legs to regenerate, and when she saw that he had recovered, Skathak covers her legs with ice and kicks Victor in the stomach. You need to use the powers with more density. Your ice looks like glass that is easily broken, try to make it more resistant. He flies backward, using his fire as a support. He manages to reposition himself in the air. Skathak runs towards Victor at moderate speed, and slowly her speed starts to increase. She covers the spear with ice and attacks the air. A wall of ice began to be created on the ground and headed towards Victor. What? Victor covers his arm with fire, then he punches the air, and a blast of fire flew into the wall of ice. Boom. An explosion happens when ice and fire collide. Skathak appears at Victor's side. Bad decision. If you don't have experience fighting, limiting your field of vision is. She turns her head slightly and dodges the greatsword's blade. She looks at Victor and sees his eyes glowing red. Your eyes, they're special, huh? I didn't know that. I didn't say. Victor flashed a small smile. Oh. Are you hiding more stuff from me? Who knows? How about you try to find out for yourself? Skathaka's face turned a little red at Victor's response. She smiles sensually as she licks her lips. Hee, don't worry, soon, I'll know all about you. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, currently up to 63, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/victorweissman. More characters images in, /4fetzaf, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 58, The White Wolf. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing the noise of the explosion, the girls looked towards the Colosseum. They started, huh? Ruby spoke. What are we going to do? Sasha asked as she looked at the Colosseum. What we originally intended to do, train, Ruby replied, and soon she turned and started walking towards her mansion. I will go with you. I feel that if I train with you, I will get more results. Sasha spoke and started to follow Ruby. Like old times? Ruby smiled a little. Indeed. Sasha smiled. I want some tips on Count's transformation. I haven't been able to unlock mine yet, Ruby commented. I need to improve the basics, and I think you're really good at it. So we have a deal, Ruby chuckled. Sasha looked at Violet. What are you going to do? Violet bites her lip and clenches her fist in frustration. I'm going back home. Like I said before, I feel my power increasing, and I don't have the confidence to control power like before. I need to complete my training. She gets up off the ground and looks towards a place. Ruby and Sasha seem to have gone deaf for a while. Excuse me, but what? Sasha practically screamed. What do you mean you didn't finish your training? Ruby asked in disbelief. Usually, vampires end their training at the age of 18, and after you turn 18 and finish training, you have to develop powers independently. That's how it happened to her and Sasha. Ruby trained from a young age in martial arts and how to control her powers with Skathack. Sasha just trained how to control her powers. After all, vampires are born knowing how to use their powers, they just don't know how to control them. Ruby's case is very rare in the vampire world as well. After all, vampire parents don't teach their children to use martial arts created by humans they consider to be cattle. Violet ignored Ruby's question. It's like Lady Violet said. Kaguya spoke when she realized that Violet was focused on something else. She spent many years watching Victor, and because of that, she didn't complete her training. And how did she manage to use the Count form if she didn't even train? Ruby asked. She remembers that in the past, Violet also used this power for a while. I don't know, Kaguya replied, but Lady Violet has always easily controlled her powers. Maybe that's the trigger. Ruby was silent, but inside she just wanted to scream, bullshit. Kaguya, Violet spoke. Yes, Lady Violet. Kaguya looked at Violet, Violet looks at Kaguya, and soon her violet eyes turn blood red. I'm revoking your status as my maid. Kaguya didn't understand this sudden decision. Violet continues, as of today, you are my darling's personal maid. Kaguya's cold expression broke, and she just couldn't let go of the first word that popped into her mind. Night, human world, current location somewhere around Brooklyn in a nightclub called the Lost Club, BMM. The sound of the club door opening suddenly was heard, and soon everyone could see a dark, muscular man standing 195 centimeters tall. He was wearing black pants with a simple white shirt, and around the man's neck was a necklace with a sharp thong that was very visible. He had short white hair, sapphire blue eyes, and a stern face. The man's body was covered in black striped tattoos, and he had several small scars strewn across his arms. Oh, you came back. How are you feeling now? A woman, who was leaning against the wall smoking, spoke as she looked at the man. The man exhibited a small smile that showed his white teeth, which were strangely a little sharper than usual. Then he started walking. I'm calmer. Just don't make a fuss again. The woman rolled her eyes. He walked past the woman as he spoke. Bitch, please. I never make a fuss. I am the most peaceful and hardworking man you will meet. The woman rolled her eyes again. Yeah. Then she ignored the man. The man walked down the halls to a door that had a tall man on guard. Johnny, you're forbidden. The guard spoke but was stopped from continuing by a sudden movement of the muscular man. The muscular man puts his arm around the neck of the man who was on guard and pushed him to the wall. What did you say? He spoke with a smile that showed his sharp teeth. The guard was sweating all over his body. He could have sworn he pissed himself a little. The woman, who was a little farther away smoking, was just speechless. In less than a few seconds, the man known as Johnny already got into trouble. And then nothing. You can pass, the guard spoke. Johnny steps away from the guard. You should have said that from the start. Soon he walks into the club, smelling alcohol, drugs, women, and sex. He flashes a satisfied smile. I'm home. The guard sighed in relief. He adjusts the suit he was wearing, and touches the communicator in his ear, and says, the mercenary is here. What? That motherfucker is banned. Why did you let him in? He heard a woman's voice. Madam, you know the man. If he doesn't come in, he will cause a fuss and destroy more property. You were just scared, right? The man used the right to remain silent. The woman sighed. I'll go talk to Judy, Jessica, Jinsei, probably Roberta too. Maybe some of these bitches can calm him down. The man was speechless. Just how many women has this man slept with? Then she yelled again, and do your job to keep people out. I'm paying you for this. Yes, ma'am. Realizing the comm had hung up, he whispered, I'll try. He could handle a normal human, but these freaks who came to this club, it was a big no for him. Oya, oya. If it's not the legendary mercenary, Johnny, the White Wolf. I thought I'd never see you again. After all, you're banned from this club. A black-haired man wearing a bartender outfit spoke with exaggerated gestures. Your mood is still exaggerated as always, Eddie, Johnny told the man. What do you want, Mr. White Wolf? The usual. Johnny special, huh? Eddie smiled, then he asked, do you have money? Take it. Johnny takes out a large amount of money and throws it on the table. $30,000, that should pay half my debts. Now give me a drink. My throat is dry. Eddie's smile grew as he began to prepare Johnny's drink. Business seems to be going well, he started the conversation. You know how it is, people always need someone to clean up their mess. The client this time, I heard he was quite exotic. If by exotic, you mean a leech, yes. Eddie stopped preparing the drink for a while and said. Just a piece of advice from a wolf friend who has been in this life for a long time. Don't get involved with the leech's problems. Things tend to get more complicated when they are involved. Soon, he went back to preparing the drink. Ha! When aren't things complicated? And you know how it is, money is money, these bastards have lived so long their pockets are full of money, and they don't mind throwing that money away too easy. Indeed. They really are the best customers. You seem to know this man, tell me a little about him. I'll continue if you pay your debt. TSK. Take it. He throws another amount of money. This should cover all my debts, yes, until you decide to make another mess and get in debt again. Ha ha ha, I never caused a fuss. Eddie rolled his eyes and remained silent, then he takes a glass and puts it on the table. Johnny special, enjoy. Johnny's eyes light up when he sees the drink, then in a single sip, he drinks it all. Ah, ambrosia of the gods, he belched, satisfied. Now. Give me tequila. Yeah. The man takes a whole bottle of tequila and puts it on the table, and he fills Johnny's glass, and, as if it were water, Johnny drinks the whole glass again. Again, he puts the glass down on the table. Eddie refilled the glass, and again, Johnny drank it all. Again. This process was repeated for 20 doses. When Johnny finally felt satisfied, he asked. And? Tell me about Lucy. Oh, it's the usual, commoner vampire with big dreams of becoming a noble vampire. Oh, boring. Continue. He's kidnapping innocent men and women to do a ritual that will change his race, and he's working with a new noble clan house that I still don't have information about. Vampires using human sacrifices, nothing new. Go on. Johnny drank another shot, and soon Eddie refilled his glass. Apparently, the leech's political power game that has never changed for 2,000 years is starting to change. Politics? Meh, boring. I heard your sister is in love with a newborn vampire. He spat all the tequila in Eddie's face. Disgusting, Eddie said as he wiped his face. What did you say? Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it. Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 59, The White Wolf. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Your sister is in love with a newborn vampire, Eddie repeated as he wiped his face with a damp cloth. What kind of bullshit are you talking about? Even though he heard it again, he still couldn't believe it. My little sister would never fall in love with anyone. She's just a child. Johnny started to remember his sister. She was so little, and she kept screaming around, Big Brother. Unconsciously, he smiled like a fool. Johnny, it's been 18 years, she's grown up. Eddie shattered his illusions. Johnny imagined his little sister, grown up and embraced by a random vampire, his face distorted in anger. I won't allow it. Bam. He smacked the wood of the counter. I'll put it on your account, Eddie said with a small sigh. And your sister is already an adult, she can make her own decisions, and this passion won't last long. After all, vampires and wolves can't mix. Oh. What do you know? Spit it out. And give me more tequila. Johnny decided not to comment on what Eddie said. After all, he knows that Eddie's words were wrong. Wolves and vampires can relate. If the two individuals want, nothing can stop them, only death, of course. You have money? Eddie smiled. TSK, you're going to make me poor again, Johnny complained. Business is business. Friendship should not interfere with business. Whatever, just spill it. He took another amount of money and threw it on the table. Having already prepared this in advance, Eddie takes a document from under the counter. Name, Victor Walker. Age, 21 years old. Height, 175 cm. Weight, 50 kg. Personality, stupidly honest, vindictive, petty, loyal to the family. According to witnesses who live close to the individual, he is a nice guy that if you don't upset him, he won't mess with anyone. Warning, has tendencies towards sociopathy. Very jealous of those close to him, he has chances to become a Yandere like a certain pink-haired girl. What is this amazingly nice man? Johnny can't help but talk, and he remembers seeing him somewhere. And what is this ending? Yandere? Explain. Eddie puts his hand to his head as if he has a headache. That crazy woman, can't she make a correct report? Basically, Yandere means that a person has an unhealthy love for another and would be able to kill, usually out of jealousy or fear, any obstacle to being with that loved one. Isn't he a nice guy? Johnny said, after all, for wolves, this was normal, they were very territorial, and if anyone touched his women, he would do the same. Eddie was speechless. Kya. Hearing a familiar scream, Johnny turned his face and saw a blonde woman with blue eyes being held by a tall, bald man. Bitch, how dare you refuse me? I'm paying. Fuck you, this isn't a prostitution club. Grr. Johnny's face distorted, sharp fangs appeared in his mouth, his face became more animalistic, his blue eyes glowed like neon blue, and then he stood up. I'll put it on your account, Eddie said. He already knew what was going to happen. Johnny ignored Eddie, so he grabs a chair next to him and throws it at the man. Bam. The chair hits the man's bald head and shatters, the man's face distorted in anger, and soon he screams like a roar. Who did that? Johnny, the woman spoke. Judy, step back. Why yes. Judy quickly kicks the man's balls and runs. Bitch. The man roared. Where do you think you're going? Johnny appears in front of the man and holds his face, and then he throws him into the middle of the club. Whistles. Whistles. Several men started whistling, and shouting fight. 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 That man is fucked, a woman said, laughing. Of course he is, he touched Johnny's wife. That was expected to happen. The man beside the woman laughed. Hey. I'm not his wife. Judy complained. The man looks at Judy, tell yourself that and keep believing it. But, at the end of the day, you still go to his bed, right? Fuck off. Judy held up her middle finger. Judy, are you okay? A pale-skinned woman with slightly curly hair and dark blue eyes spoke in concern. Yes, I'm fine, Jessica. Judy smiled gently, seeing the attitude of the customers who seemed to be enjoying themselves. Eddie's eyes sparkled a little. This is getting common now. Should I make a fight club? He could smell money when he thought of that idea. What the fuck is going on here? A woman looks at the center of the club and yells in frustration, that damn wolf again. Eddie looks to the side and sees a woman with short silver hair and a golden eye. She was wearing an eye patch covering half of her face, and she had a tired expression. She was wearing a stylish black suit, and she was smoking a black cigarette that looked like it was custom-made. Madam. Eddie. Why didn't you stop that motherfucker? She started to complain again, but Eddie cut her off. Madam, I have a proposal for you, I guarantee you will make a lot of money. Oh. Tell me more, the woman's tired. I seem to come back to life, Bohem. Do you think you can demand something from her? Ha! In my territory. Know your place. Eddie and Madam look at Johnny slamming the bald man's head to the ground. As expected, he didn't last long. Disappointing, a woman spoke up in annoyance. Yeah, at least we made some money, a man next to her said, laughing. He's going to kill that man if he keeps this up, a woman with chocolate skin, sapphire blue eyes, and long straight white hair spoke worriedly. Jinsei? Can you stop him, please? I don't want to have to clean up another body tonight. Madam spoke in annoyance. Yes, Jinsei closes her eyes for a few seconds, then she opens her eyes. Her old blue sapphire eyes change to golden eyes with a reptilian-like slit. Johnny, you're back, let's talk a little. Her seductive voice flew towards Johnny and visibly affected him. Johnny stopped hitting the man and looked at Jinsei. Soon, his predator's smile changed to a gentle smile. Heh, I missed you. He leaves the middle of the club and ignores the man who was in a half-dead state. He gets close to Jinsei and hugs her. Madam looks at a subordinate and gestures as if to clean up the mess. I missed you too. She spoke in a soft voice, feeling Johnny squeezing her ass. She got annoyed. Stop it. Ha ha ha. He laughed a little and looks to the side. Oh. Jessica, you're back. Yes. She exhibited a gentle little smile, and then her expression changed to serious. We need to talk later. It's important. Okay, Johnny looks at Madam. I already paid my debts. So don't look at me like that, old hag. Madam looks at Eddie, and, seeing her subordinate nod his head, she sighs, just don't make trouble again, boy. But I never caused any problems. Everyone rolled their eyes. Johnny looks at Judy, and soon the atmosphere around him changes. Judy, he growled. Judy's body visibly shook. What? Were you working? Did I already mention that I don't allow it? Do I have to kill every man in this club so you don't work again? Aye. She swallows hard when she senses Johnny's mood. She was scared, but soon her face changes to an annoyed expression, and she growls at Johnny, I wasn't working. You know, since I stayed with you, her face turned red. I don't work anymore. That man looked at me coming out of the second floor and started screaming, demanding services. Johnny smiled when he saw Judy's expression. You're too innocent sometimes for a former stripper dancer. Fuck off. She flipped her middle finger and turned her face away. Madam, that man must not come back here, he said with a serious face. He would never let a man live after talking like that to his wife. Sigh. I'll put it on your account, Madam said. She didn't want to get her hands dirty again today, but money is money, and she knows Johnny always pays his debts. How is your father's health? He asked Judy. Judy visibly softened. Thanks to the bite, he's as healthy as ever. He's in my pack now, but out of consideration for you, I won't force him to do anything. Johnny sat down on the bench and drank another shot of tequila. Thanks, Johnny. If it weren't for you, I'd still have to be working in that disgusting place. As a former stripper dancer, she went through many things that she prefers to forget about. If it weren't for her father's illness that needed a lot of money to treat, she would never have subjected herself to that kind of work. She hates her old profession. She knows and has many friends who had a similar situation like her, women who needed money, and when they need it most, they had no support from anyone and somehow had to find the money. Pimps take advantage of these struggling women and make them prostitute themselves in exchange for scraps of money, a disgusting market. She hates all of this, and if it weren't for Johnny, she would still have to live this life. No need to thank me, I had a crush on you, and from that moment on, it was already decided that you would become my woman. He drinks some tequila. I couldn't leave my wife in that deplorable place. Jerk. Judy turns her face away in annoyance. Can't you be a little more honest with yourself? Jinsei asked in a gentle voice. Judy threw Jinsei the middle finger. Now that I remember, my sister. He clenches his fist angrily. Even though that man seems like a nice guy, I need to see him in person. I won't give my sister away easily. Then, he suddenly realized something. Wait, did you say he became a vampire? So his appearance might have changed, Eddie said, exactly. This information is from before he became a vampire, his appearance may have changed according to his potential. Plebeian vampires are weak, and they are slaves. I feel sorry for that man, Johnny spoke in a disappointed voice. But, he didn't look sorry, he drinks some tequila while out of the corner of his eye he looks at Jessica who is sat beside him. Eddie, explain your plan to me, Madame asked curiously. Oh, Eddie looks at Madame and starts to explain what he was thinking of doing. Jessica climbs up on the bench and takes the document. She looks at the document, and soon her eyes light up a little. She seems to know the man. Johnny noticed this but decided to remain silent. Where's Roberta? He asked Madame. Madame, who was talking to Eddie, just pointed up, indicating she was on the second floor. I'll go see her, he said, then he left the bench and walked towards the second floor. I'll go with you, Jinsei said. Me too. Jessica got off the bench and followed Johnny. Judy didn't say anything, she just followed Johnny silently. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 60, The White Wolf. 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Roberta, .bam. Johnny opened the door with a bang. Era. Roberta, who was sitting on a sofa, spoke, then looked at Johnny with a gentle smile. Why the hurry? Johnny looked at the woman. She was wearing a flowing ankle-length black dress and had abundant silky black hair that reached the floor, healthy white skin that seemed to glow in the dim lighting, and violet eyes that shimmered with a playful light. But, what stood out most about her were her enormous breasts that were bigger than Johnny's head. They were the famous J-cup. Seeing Johnny staring at her breasts, she flashed a seductive smile. How was your job? Are you really 40 years old? Johnny asked as he stared at her breasts. The question was very reasonable. Even though she was an older woman, her breasts didn't seem to be sagging down. He eventually replied, yeah, the job was easy. He approaches her and sits beside her, then extends his arms and places them on the woman's shoulder. Yes, I am, she replied. Slap. She slaps Johnny's hand that was almost touching her breast. She turns to face Johnny and speaks with a gentle smile, not in public. Johnny was speechless, but he accepted her will. He doesn't like to force his women. TSK, Jude was annoyed. Are those things growing? I do not know. I stopped caring about it. I'm surprised you don't have back pain, Judy said. The key is posture. She laughed. Tell me about it later, my back hurts a little, Jinsei said. Okay. Johnny, we need to talk, Jessica said. What is it? Johnny looked at Jessica. Jinsei, Roberta, and Judy are silent and wait for Jessica to speak. My brothers are in town, and they're working with the man who hired you. Oh. Johnny puts his hand to his chin. What does Clan Horseman want with Lucy? Jinsei narrowed her eyes a little. She hated vampires. At first, it was difficult for Jinsei to get along with Jessica, who was a noble vampire, but she learned to accept her as time passed, especially since Johnny didn't like how the two women were constantly fighting. But other vampires? She hates them. I don't know. I'm just the third heiress, so father and my brothers don't tell me much. She didn't lie. Her brothers didn't tell her anything. She was the one who discovered their plans through conversations and documents. They didn't tell her anything, but they didn't stop her from figuring things out either. Johnny wasn't very interested in this. He just works for Lucy because the vampire sends large amounts of money for small services. The job he did today was just to retrieve a relic from the hunters and throw it into the sea. Easy job. And he was paid very well for it, Jessica continued, but one thing I'm sure of, they came to hunt a man named Adam William Lycos. Johnny narrowed his eyes. What do they want with that old man? Do you know him? He is my father. Jinsei, Jessica, Roberta, and Judy looked at Johnny in curiosity. Johnny never talked about his family to the women, and they never asked about it. What do your brothers want from my father? They want the blood of an alpha wolf. Ha! Let them try, my dad isn't weak. Johnny snorted. But are his children? Johnny's atmosphere changed, and he was becoming more aggressive, and his eyes started to glow bright blue. Then he looked at Jessica fiercely. Jessica just looked at Johnny indifferently. She obviously wasn't affected by Johnny's pressure. After all, she wasn't weak like the three women in the room, but inside, she was sad to see Johnny's reaction. As expected, vampires and wolves can't be together, huh? That was a question she had always had since she started a relationship with Johnny. Although Johnny doesn't care about the wolves and vampires dispute, it was hard for Jessica not to think that way, mainly because he treated other women very differently from how he treats her. Johnny might not realize it, but something inside him didn't like mixing with a vampire, and unconsciously, he treated her differently because of that, and Jessica is a new lover. Compared to the three women who have known Johnny for a long time, they've only known each other for 2 months, and, since then, their relationship hasn't progressed much. Johnny, calm down. She's not guilty, you know that. Jinsei spoke in a calm tone. Gur, Johnny growled, but soon he swallowed his anger. The wolves were very protective of the pack members, and even though Johnny has been away for a long time, he never left his father's pack. Seeing Jessica's face, he thought inwardly, fuck. Don't think nonsense, and tell me what's going on. He was a man who didn't know how to apologize. The women just sighed. My brothers have come to see the ritual Lucy is preparing, but this is just an excuse. His main objective is to hunt the man named Adam William Lycos. They want alpha wolf blood to use. They probably want to keep that freak stable. Jessica said the last part in disgust. Freak? Johnny asked. Hybrid. Realizing what she said, Jessica's face darkened. By bad-mouthing hybrids, did she just deny her relationship with Johnny? After all, if they ever had a child, their child would be born a hybrid. Anyway, I just came here to warn you not to get involved in this matter, but now that I know that man is your father, I find it hard for you not to get involved. Just don't die. She got up from the couch, walked towards the door, and quickly left. Johnny didn't stop her from going. All the women sighed at the same time. Johnny, Roberta was about to say something, but Johnny interrupted. I know, you don't have to tell me, Johnny sighed. He knew he wasn't good with feelings. She's a noble vampire, and it's difficult for her to change who she is. Plus, like all vampires, she hates hybrids. That's natural for her species. So she must feel disgusted just being around a hybrid who lives in her house, Jinsei explained. I know, older wolves are like that too, Johnny said. He didn't particularly care about that. Roberta's eyes glowed violet for a few seconds. You have to talk to her, or you'll lose her forever, she advised him. Another day, Johnny doesn't listen to her. Instead, he gets up and walks towards an empty spot, and then he takes out his phone, opens the contacts tab, and sees his father's number. Sighing, he clicks on the phone number, then hears, Johnny. Hey, old man. Seeing Johnny's decision, Roberta just shook her head, a little disappointed. He just does what he wants and never listens to anyone. That kind of attitude will bite his ass in the future. But that doesn't matter, as long as he's with me, he'll be fine, even if all his lovers die, she thought while showing a gentle smile. A week later. Scat-Hack, why are you sitting? Victor asked curiously as he looked at Scat-Hack, who was sitting on top of a pillar of ice. I'm meditating. And stupid disciple, call me master. Victor nodded, but he completely ignored the last sentence Scat-Hack spoke. Instead, he looked around and saw several small craters that were starting to regenerate on their own. Magic is amazing, he thought. The training, beating, was going well. Victor fought Scathach for a week straight, and even now, he didn't feel tired. The only visible sign of tiredness on Victor's body was his sweat. Since he moved around a lot, naturally, he would be sweaty, but that was it. He progressed decently in swordplay and in the martial arts that Scathach was teaching him. Scathach didn't name the martial art he was learning, she just said it's a martial art that she created herself. However, he noticed several moves from famous martial arts like Muay Thai, Taekwondo, boxing, karate, etc. But while they were similar, they were very different. The martial art he was learning was created to extract 100% of the vampire race's potential. I think it should happen any time now. Scathach opened her eyes and looked at Victor. Victor didn't understand, but he soon felt his throat go dry and fell to the ground while holding his throat. Bloodlust, one of the vampire's most obvious weaknesses. Scathach jumped off the ice pillar as she fell to the ground. Bloodlust can drive the individual mad. He won't recognize who is ally or enemy. A perfect berserker state. Victor looks at Scathach. His appearance has changed, his eyes have turned blood red, and his teeth have sharpened. He didn't understand. His bloodlust seemed to be stronger than before. Maybe it's because I used too much power. He thought. Scathach started to twirl her spear. If you're a vampire who has gone through the ritual, when you've been bloodthirsty for a long time and can't control yourself, a ritual protection spell will be automatically activated. This spell forces the vampire into a coma state. Victor took the great sword and got up from the ground. The witches created the ritual at the request of the vampire king to control the bloodlust of the vampires who were running rampant at the time. The ritual spell is simple. They alter the vampire's human bloodlust and focus that bloodlust on their lovers. Because of this, female and male vampires who have lost their lovers will eventually fall into a deep coma until they perform a ritual with another lover. The ritual made it easier for vampires to control their bloodlust, and because of this tool, we were able to live in society. Scathach stops spinning the spear and aims the sharp part of the spear at Victor's neck. She displays a seductive smile. The time period for the spell to be activated is 1 month. If you can't control yourself in a month, you'll become an empty corpse. Edited by is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/victorweissman. More characters images in /4fetzaf, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it.